What's going on, everybody? We are going to take a tour of my studio 2023 edition. I've had so many changes in here that a lot of people are asking questions. How do you do things? We've done some new things here on the channel and people are curious. So I figured I'd share it with you all, hopefully help you make some decisions in building your own setups and save you some money, hopefully too, because I've wasted a lot doing this. All right, let's get into it. All right, everybody, Scott Hogan coming at you. We are here, we are in my home studio here. So this is where I work out of when I'm here at home. Obviously I do videos in here and I also do teach in here. So you gotta remember that as you're going through it. There are some setup things for that as we go through. I also do teach at a golf course, the Academy at Stony Creek. I'm the director of instruction there. So I get a little more flexibility here, I should say, where I can do some things that I don't necessarily have to worry about because I can do some other things over there when I'm there in the summer and all that. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about my setup and how it works for me. All right, so the first thing we have to talk about is when we are going through and we are looking at how to build something or any type of simulator space, doesn't really matter where you're at, you have to look at what space is available to you. So I get so many people that ask me questions about, hey, I've got this and I got this and what launch monitor should I get? And it's like, well, wait, what's more about your space? Tell me more. Like, what is your room? How much room are you going to have to hit? Where's the launch monitor going to be? Where's your screen at? You need to make sure that your space is going to work for the launch monitor that you have, right? So when you're shopping, always look at setting up your space and how that's going to work first before you go ahead and get the launch monitor. Because again, if you don't have enough space, certain launch monitors like radars are not going to be even on the table for you. So make your decision easier, or if you really want a certain one, you have to figure out how to set your space up a little bit differently to make it happen. My space here, 20 feet long, and it is about 19 feet wide, so it is plenty wide enough as we go through. The 20 feet also works because you need about 8 feet behind the ball, you need 8 feet of flight, and then you need a little bit of wiggle room. You have your enclosure, it's going to sit about a foot away, maybe 18 inches away from, we're hitting at the garage door, so it sits away from there about a foot to 18 inches, somewhere in there, so you just don't bang on that door or your wall or whatever. So you need a little bit of room there. And also I think you got to plan on a little bit of extra give room around the hitting area where you're hitting. Are you going to have other people in there? It's not that, hey, if you want to do all that stuff, you really want to think about, hey, can I get some extra space? Which honestly I know is one of the hardest parts about doing this. Believe me, I've tried to make it work in other places as well. So just having that, that's what I'm looking at as we go through, and that's the space I have to work with. So from there, what I have is, I have my enclosure then, okay? So my enclosure is from 247 Golf. I have the par 3 enclosure. It's 8'6" high. The ceiling in here is 10 feet high, so plenty of room there. We did have to take down the garage door enclosure to put it up, you know, the opener I should say. So that is down, but very easy to put back up. We've done that. We can easily take down this enclosure. That's one of the things I like. Last year we took it down in the summer. Very easy. You can store it in a couple of storage bins and then put it back up. This year we're probably going to leave it up for pretty much the entire year, I believe. So again, it can do that as well. Now this enclosure is 10 feet wide, okay? So it is kind of in like this it's in like a weird like square aspect ratio. The reason I have 10 feet wide, because this is our garage, we do use certain things, you know, there's still some like snow equipment in here. We're in Chicago. We do have things on the sides behind the curtains that you see. So we are kind of storing some things as well. We don't have room to put that anywhere else, or it doesn't make sense to put it anywhere else if we need to use it. So I can't go fully that wide, or really don't want to. I don't really need to, I guess, as we go through it. But again, I don't want to take up my entire space completely than we already are, because we need to work through that. So that does present a couple of challenges when it comes to Projector, which we'll talk about, because it's not necessarily fitting like a certain aspect ratio. It's almost like a 1:1 aspect ratio. But again, we can work on that as we go through. I do like it too. It is 5 feet in depth. So that actually is not super, super deep. People could hit that ball outside of the enclosure. We do have this netting, doesn't really help that much for a shot, but what I do is I just have my teaching bag, which is here anyway. I just set it here. So if somebody hits one, they're gonna hit this bag and it just kills it. So again, if it was just me hitting, I wouldn't worry about that, but I do teach lessons. You're gonna get people that are maybe not so comfortable hitting shots. So wherever you think the ball might go, plan on it, especially if you're gonna have random people over, because I've heard stories about people's stuff getting broke. It will happen. Wherever the ball can go, it probably will. And then one other thing I like about this enclosure from 24/7 Golf, actually two things. One, it has really good safety barricades on the side. It's padded. Safety is my number one concern in here. Again, I'm doing lessons, I'm bringing people in, worried about liability, stuff like that. So I don't want anybody to get hurt. Even if it's covered in insurance, I would just feel terrible about that. I want to make sure people are safe. So, hitting shots, one of the first things I did when I was getting this one was I actually hit shots directly at the sides. What happens when people hit shots into weird places and the ball just gets killed? It goes straight down and it's not coming back. Not only do I not want it to come back, I don't want it to even remotely come back, because what I don't want to have happen is people hitting shots. They hit shots here, and then while they're hitting, they just all of a sudden feel like, all right, I'm going to hit, and the ball bounces right by them. It freaks them out. Okay, I don't want any of that as we go through. I want people to feel safe, feel comfortable, so they can focus on learning how to get better. That's also why I have two screens on here. Okay. So I've got this screen that you see. There's actually another one that hangs behind it. It's attached to the entire enclosure. So I got the second screen that hangs in front. So this is the screen that's getting beat up, it's getting dirty. I can take this one off very easily and then wash it. Or if I need to replace it, I'm just gonna replace this screen. It also provides extra weight and it also kills the golf ball. And I've also talked about this in previous videos. This is also why I keep my enclosure very loose, okay? I could try and get this tighter, but I won't, because again, I want the ball to hit. I don't care what club it is. I want it to hit and I want it to fall straight down. I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of the bottom being not perfectly on the screen for safety. That's something that, again, I don't think people care as much about that, especially when they're learning, but I don't care about it in general. And again, I want it to be as safe as possible. So that is what I am looking at as we go through. So that's the enclosure, works really good. And then it served its purpose so far. Now I do want to talk about the hitting area you see here. So you can see we are hitting, you can see we got some of the powder on the mat. That's why I'm super excited that's going away. You can see we use like the bunker mat and stuff. So the one thing I would say about the bunker mate, I love it. It just does give you like some of these fuzzies out that are really, really hard to get. But you can see I have two hitting mats on each side, and then I do the strips in the middle. So that way I can just replace this strip. So, essentially it's like having 3 mats, and then you just take the third mat and just cut it up. So I've got this strip that we hit from, and then I've got another one that we actually have out here that, I could roll and putt. And what I actually just recently did is I put a board under here to try to get this extremely level. And it actually is working a lot better for putting. The best putting results are going to be if you just had one long platform, you were able to put this mat and just kind of sink it into the platform, into the wood, and the launch monitor's on the same platform, and the ball rolls that entire length of the platform. If you do that, you'll get good results with the putting. If you have any fall-offs or unevens, it's going to be a little bit interesting. That doesn't matter what software you have. I use Full Swing at my course, where we have it's starting to get uneven because it's kind of old, and people have a hard time putting. You get some weird reads with the putting. So the smoother it can roll, the better. Still Mevo Plus, these wires normally aren't hanging there, they just moved. You see this nest of wires, I can't look at it. I've tried every which way to try to organize it, but then I change stuff and then I do things, and it's just not working, and it's a mess. So anyway, we've got the launch monitor here. It sits on a little stand that I got, and then it's level with the hitting area. It also works out really well for that. And then, yeah, pretty simple. It works really well. It sits about 7 feet 9 inches from where I hit, so I can give myself almost 9 feet of flight. And we get good reads, we get good results, and what shots I hit in here, I see when I go outside. So that's all I really care about. So that's a good thing. But this guy's been awesome. Honestly, a game changer in my opinion, in what us teachers were looking for with launch monitors. So I'm very happy with it. Wouldn't change it. So there it is. All right, let's talk projector. I have talked about this in a recent video, but this is the BenQ. This is the LK936ST projector. Okay, so it is a 4K projector from BenQ. It is awesome. Okay, so a couple of things about this projector as we go through it. Okay, one, you can see we have studio lights. There's one somewhere over here, right there. You can see one in the corner down here. You can see the garage lights up here. So again, I'm making these videos, you need a lot of light. I also am having people come over. I teach a lot of high school kids and stuff. Their parents are coming over. I want it to feel welcoming. I want it to feel safe, all of that stuff, right? So we make sure it is well lit in here. So that is one of the things that we do. This projector allows us to see the screen even when every single light is on here. It looks really good. I usually will turn off a couple. I usually just turn the studio lights off when I'm playing, keep these overhead ones on, and it looks extremely good. So those are going to be some of the things that we're looking at as we're going through and selecting it. The other thing is 4K. I've talked about it. This is going to be more of a multi-purpose room, watching some videos and stuff, because we need to be away from the other side of our house. We also will need to be at a point where, you know what? We need to be able to maneuver the screen. I wanted the screen to look as good as possible, so I was looking at some of the features for being able to adjust. So I love that it has, in this compartment here, you have some vertical and horizontal lens shifts. So what this allowed me to do is actually hang the projector higher, so it is right up against the ceiling essentially, and then it actually hangs very low and it's not in danger of getting hit. My other projector I had to hang down lower, and it would, it was worrisome. I would actually hit it a couple times when I was just like demoing, right? I would just hold the club and then I would just knock it, right? So it was close, and so I always was a little nervous about that. This one, not at all. It's way up there. It's not in danger, and then we go from there. Plus, you can use your graphics card, all that, to use your custom resolution, so I can get it to fit the screen and everything. So it's really been awesome. It looks awesome. It's made it really fun to be out here and playing. And actually, when I go to other places now where they don't have as good of projectors, kind of turn my snooty nose up at it a little bit. I was like, oh man, that's like blurry, or it's not that bright or whatever. So it's been really nice to have. I couldn't recommend it more. If it's something, it is definitely something in the higher price budget, but if it's something that you would look at, I would check that out, or I would check out anything else from BenQ. I think they have good products. I've used them in the past as well. So yeah, there's the projector. And then let's talk about the bane of my existence here. So this is the computer that I use to run it. So I talked about this again in another video. I showed you how I actually built the computer that we are running this on. So that made it a lot cheaper. And as I've had to make upgrades and stuff, like I had to get a new graphics card, I was just able to buy it and do that myself. So that's really nice when you know how to do it. It's not very intimidating as you go. So this is it. Forgive all the wires. We do GS Pro, obviously we're doing that. We run FlightScope, the FS Golf software now. We also have cameras running into it now. So we use this Dragonfly USB 2.0 from Swing Catalyst, which I've really enjoyed. It's not exactly meant for this small of a space. It's a little bit smaller. You can get a more expensive one that would really work in here, but we're planning on some things, and so it works good enough. It really does take a good video. It's just the size part that's getting it a little bit, but it is really good. I like it a lot. It's been cool. So we're actually going to be adding another one. I wanted to test that out. We're going to add another one, so I have two of those doing my face on and down the lines when I'm in here. You can obviously see we've got the live view over here. I use this when I'm practicing myself, and then when we go outside, I will use that one a lot when I'm out practicing and working with students. So we've got the computer here. We've got 2 touch screens going on, okay? So let me talk to this one. This one down here first, this is a ViewSonic. This is an older one I had for many years now. This is a 1080, just kind of standard touchscreen, and it works really well. It's just 1080, that's all, and it's not the biggest screen, but I mainly use this one when I'm doing my live streams and stuff. I'll have OBS and stuff open down here so I can see the chat, so I can switch cameras, whatever I need to do. I can do all that down here. You know, if I want to have something else open, like when I'm playing GS Pro, you know, it's up here. I can actually put the data down here. I can do all of that stuff. The other thing I have when I'm doing this is I do have the Elgato Stream Deck. I run all that here. That's down below here. I also use a Scarlett interface for the mic where you can plug it in. You do need an adapter if you're using not an XLR, but I use that to get sound into the computer. So when I'm wearing my mic, when I'm doing the videos on live stream, all that stuff, that's how I'm doing it. Now, up here, this is actually a new one. This is a 4K monitor, okay, that I wanted. I talked about this in the past on other videos and stuff, is I was having an issue. When I got my 4K projector, I needed to make a custom resolution, but I couldn't duplicate the screens. I couldn't have my GS Pro up on the projector and have it on my monitor here so I could like control it and stuff. That wasn't working because this was just a 1080 monitor. I didn't have enough pixels to go bigger than that, so I couldn't do it, right? So I ended up having to figure out, I wanted a touchscreen, but 4K touchscreen monitors were very expensive. So what I learned about, and somebody on the channel during one of our live streams let me know about, is he actually showed me what an IR bezel is. So this is actually a refurbished 4K monitor that was on Amazon. It was like an open box one that got returned. So it was extremely cheap. I want to say it was only $130 for this 4K monitor. It actually looks really good. It's an LG, and I've been really happy with it. And what I did then is I got this IR bezel, okay? So what you can't see, and I'll show this up close, but there's a frame that you attach around the monitor, okay? Now it just sticks to the bezel. Now the only issue I had with this monitor is there is no bezel, there's no sides really, except for on the bottom here. So I kind of had to like ghetto tape it on here, all right? Just a little bit, kind of manufacture a little bit just to get it on here, but it works awesome. It's this frame that essentially puts like a force field over your monitor that acts as a touch screen now. So you can do this with literally anything, right? So I can just start touching around. I didn't have to do anything other than just put it together. It's super easy. It does cost like $180, so it was actually more than the monitor, but overall I can get a 4K touchscreen for $300. But overall, I can get a 4K touchscreen for like $300. And this can work on many other options, right? I have a $100 TV over here that I could actually get. They have sizes where I could get the bezel and make that a touchscreen. So it's really, really cool as you're going through this. So you can make any monitor a touchscreen and you don't have to pay all the absurd prices. Now, the only thing I'll say about it is because it has the frame that like sticks out, like when you're hitting, you just kind of have to be like punchy, right? Because you have to have your finger come out of the sensor and then go back in. So it just feels it's not as good as like down here where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna click around. You know, I don't get to do any of that, or I'm not doing that, I should say. But just a small thing you might notice as you go through it, as you're looking at it. But it's really cool. One note I'm gonna tell you about if you're gonna do touch screens and all this stuff, right? USB and cable management becomes huge, okay? This is why this is the bane of my existence, is you can see when you're using a touch screen, okay, what you're gonna have is the touch screen has to have a USB, it's basically a printer cable that you're gonna run and it plugs into one of the ports, okay? So now I've got this touchscreen down here. I've got a power cable. I've got the cable that connects, you know, to the computer, which I'm using DVI down here, and up here is HDMI. And then I've also got that cord that I plug in. So this one has 3 cords that we're running. This one actually has 3 as well. I've got one for the monitor, I got the HDMI, and then I've got the USB for this IR bezel that we're working with. Okay, so all of those things are going to add up. Now I've got 6 cables that I'm trying to run, plus then I've got projector cables coming from the roof. I've got, you know, all the mounts. I've got my Stream Deck. I've got all of the cameras that we are running for live streams. It will become a cord nightmare. I am not very good at managing cords, so I'm trying to work that out, but keep that in mind as you're going. And if you're looking at a PC, if your goal is to do stuff like streaming or have a setup like this, make sure your PC has a ton of USB outlets. They don't have to be USB 3 per se, because these things are not super intensive on, hey, I need a bunch of speed. These are just kind of peripheral things, but just make sure you have it as you go. That's something I would just caution as you're looking through and buying some devices. One last thing I will point out here is I've been using these iRange tripods. These things have been awesome. They just take up a lot less space than like a regular tripod. So I can move them into different spots. So they've just spent a lot less space. You know, tripod where the legs fan out, that doesn't work. So you can either do it with magnets where you attach them to the devices, or what actually I got are, so like here's my live view, is I got like a magnetic camera base. So I can just screw that in. Very, very inexpensive on Amazon. You just screw this in, and this works for like my camera. I can actually use my camera I'm filming on right now. That's pretty good. So now it's on there, it's nice and secure, and then I just pop it on, and it's a very strong magnet as you go, so I'm not really worried about it going anywhere as we go through. And then over here we've got a couple of things. We've got our club carousel here. This thing's really cool. This was sent to me where it holds all the clubs. We've got the Rockstar golf box, which actually I am a big fan of. Highly recommend you check this out. I do use this, even though I have touch screens, I still love using this. It does make life a lot easier, so you can do this. If you get this, another USB thing you gotta plug in though, so keep that in mind. And then I do keep some other things around, like I do have, if you check out down below here, I do have a TV where I can, you know, just watch TV, or I can stream stuff. All I did there is I just made a really bad A-frame. Just go to the store, get 2 pieces of wood, couple of hinges, and then I just put some screws into the board, and now they just sit on top of the screws. This will go with me to the golf course as well, though. I will put like people's swings, their data up there so they can see it while they're hitting, all that stuff. So that goes with me there as we're going through. Like I mentioned, we got our club bag. These are kind of my go-to teaching aids. This one will travel with me. You know, I keep grip trainer in here. You know, you've heard me talk about grip trainer. I keep that. Got my, you know, lag shot. That one works good. Orange whip stuff I love. The super speed's in there, even though I use the stack. And then, yeah, that's kind of it. You know, the rest we get from the launch monitor as we go. Got my, you always cleaning your clubs. Got the plane board right in there. So we'll have some stuff that we travel with. Then on this side, we've got heater. We've actually got 2 heaters in here. They have to be on separate grids or else you'll blow your fuse box. They take up a ton, or they're very demanding. Got some speakers up here that we run, and then I've got everything kind of powered by Alexa in here, so I can just go, hey Alexa, turn off Golf Studio. You'll see the lights go off, TV goes off, all the heaters go off. It's a nice thing to have when I want to come out and it's cold. Hey Alexa, turn on Golf Studio heaters. It'll fire those up. So before I come out, I can get it warming up out here, and then I can tell it when I get out here, hey Alexa, turn on Golf Studio. Just something that's kind of nice. Probably not necessary, but for me, I have all these lights again that are kind of hanging for the studio. I can't necessarily reach them all. So this has been really helpful to help me turn those on and off as I need to. We've got our club stuff down here. Bag, you know, if people come in, they can put their bag in. RCT golf balls. We've got, these are the golf balls we putt with. I use the Perfect putting mat. This thing is so cool and awesome. Like the simplest stuff from them is awesome. This is from Perfect Practice. This is their roll-a-putt. So this thing actually just rolls up. So if I needed to travel with it, it literally rolls like this, and then I can roll it back out as you go. So if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of space, or hey, I don't want to have it permanently out, all of that, here we go. It'll lock in if I get it. And it does come with like a travel bag too, so that's good. Throw this on. This Velcros. Now we're good. And then we can just roll it back out. So really cool little aid there that we use. I just switched my putting around for that. We've got our short game aids, and then we got some other aids back over here as well that we use. So just kind of storage. The DeWiz, here's that. I like using that. Gravity fits, force pedals, you know, again, kind of the main aids I use. The Y alarm, you know, the arm alarm from Y, that I'll use, all that. Do use RCT balls, so I actually have regulars and X's in case I need those. I can do that. And then I've got actually another dozen of regulars sitting right here. Foot spray, which we will not need for much longer, if at all, right now. So we've got that, and then we just got some decorations. I like to collect the flags when I go play places, and then those are actually all pictures I have taken that I do. So I've got more. I got a few more I'd like to print out. And the last little thing we have in here, decorations. You can see these are flags where students have played. So got there, got more over here. So I'm definitely not a volume teacher in what I do. You know, I'm never gonna run like a factory, hey, I've got 100 and something kids and whatever. My thing is I wanna help people get better. I coached college, all that too. So I wanna help people that really wanna put the time and the effort to get better. I wanna help them do that. So that means having kind of, hey, we're gonna be talking about things, we're gonna be going over things. How did your practices go? What did this do? What did that do? So, you know, that takes a lot more time and effort on that part. So, you know, I'm never gonna run through and have a bunch of them, but I'm proud of where, you know, the kids that have made that determination that, hey, they wanna do this, where they've been able to go. And actually have a couple more I need to get, so we'll be adding those to it. But yeah, it's been a good run with that too. So we like to show them off and you know, let people see their hard work. But yeah, there's the space. This studio, this tiny garage space, but we're able to run a business out of it. We're able to do this video stuff and honestly just have somewhere to go hit and practice in the winter. And honestly, any time of the year, it works out really, really good. I'm happy with how it turned out and I enjoy it. I enjoy being here. I don't, you know, really like going other places. So that's something that says, hey, this investment's working out for me as we go. So if you have questions about it, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you have anything that you need, or hey, make sure you let people know, because I can tell you this is what it looks like now. But if you go back through my videos, where the spaces have been, I've done this a few different times now, and where it's gone, the stuff I have that I no longer use, the stuff that I spent money on that I no longer use is crazy. Man, I wish I could have all that back. So it's, you know, stuff that you would like to kind of answer before you get into it. And there's a lot of people that have done it. So please reach out. Let us know if you have questions about it. But this is where we're at and this is what we're looking with. So let me know. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be making more videos from here. So stay tuned.